What do you get when you mix a five-star hotel, a missing phone, and a pop star with a burner identity named Frank Black? Apparently, you get Exhibit A. Welcome to the courtroom circus that is the Sean Diddy Combs federal trial, where Day 5 delivered everything the tabloids wish they could print: assault allegations, emotional manipulation, and yes, a bag full of baby oil. But this isn't tabloid fiction. According to Cassie, this was her life. Locked hotel doors, luxury bruises, freak-offs that lasted days, and a $10 million payout to make it all disappear. She took the stand. She didn't hold back. And what she revealed about threats, sex tapes, and skillet beatings? It left the courtroom stunned. And just wait till you hear what federal agents found in his closet. Spoiler alert, it wasn't a suit and tie. If you're into unraveling power, control, and the dark side of celebrity, you're in the right place. This is Chatterfuse, and we dig deeper than headlines. Hit subscribe for more celebrity scandals that actually matter, because this one might change everything. Let's get into it. The jury turned their eyes to something even more personal than video. Cassie's text messages with Diddy, sent just days after she says he beat her in a hotel hallway. Instead of outrage or distance, the messages read like a script written in emotional captivity. Diddy downplays the violence, casually saying he doesn't want a repeat of Friday night. Cassie replies with a flat, almost numb, LOL. True. No apologies, no confrontation, just two people tiptoeing around a trauma too big to name. And that's the chilling part, because beneath every emoji and every soft laugh was something deeply broken. The tone, controlled, muted, like someone who knew the rules of survival and followed them to stay safe. Then the courtroom hears about another fight, this one inside a car. Diddy allegedly grabs Cassie's phone while she's trying to call her mother. He runs off with it, disappears for hours, and leaves her with no way to reach help. She was stranded, alone. And when her mother couldn't get through, she called the police. But this wasn't about a stolen phone. This was about power, taking control of her voice, her safety, and her ability to escape. And it only got worse when the paranoia kicked in. Diddy suspected Cassie of cheating, with an NFL player no less. And in true controlling fashion, he didn't just confront her. He confiscated her phone and flipped her life upside down. No bruises, no screaming. Just silent tactics that speak louder than fists. As the jury absorbed the quiet horror of Cassie's testimony, the prosecution introduced something more raw, more immediate than any text or memory could capture. Audio, not of Diddy, but of Cassie herself. It was a recording from 2018, taken during a nightclub appearance in Atlantic City. A man, allegedly a fan, approached her and made a comment no woman should ever hear in public, that he'd seen a mixtape involving her. What followed wasn't polite denial or embarrassment, it was rage. Cassie's voice on the tape erupts, threatening, furious, and unmistakably shaken. She demands to know where the video came from. She accuses, she screams. And then she drops a line that brought the entire courtroom to a halt. "I'll kill you. I'll cut you up." It wasn't performative. It wasn't posturing. It sounded like a woman pushed to her edge, angry, humiliated, and terrified that the most private parts of her life were circulating like gossip at a nightclub bar. The defense seized on it, of course, playing it loud, hoping to cast doubt on her victimhood. But what no one could deny was the pain behind her voice, and just how far this alleged control reached, even when Diddy wasn't in the room. Because Cassie wasn't just fighting a man, she was fighting a machine that recorded her, followed her, and haunted her long after the bruises faded. Cassie didn't deny the voice was hers. She owned it. She told the court that her fury wasn't about ego or image. It was about fear. Because by then, sex tapes weren't just a rumor. They were weapons. And that fear wasn't hypothetical. The next revelation made it painfully real. Cassie testified that after one of their many breakups, she booked her own commercial flight to escape. Not a private jet, no handlers, just her. But when she boarded, there he was, Diddy, sitting beside her. She thought she was getting away. Instead, she found herself trapped beside the very man she was trying to leave. And during that flight, she says he pulled out his phone, not to call, not to text, to show her a video, a freak off, graphic, degrading, and recorded without her full consent. He didn't need to say much. The message was clear: cooperate or this gets out. Cassie testified that when they landed in New York, he made it even plainer. She said he told her either she agreed to another freak-off or that video would go public. No paper trail, no direct threat in writing, just a message delivered through fear, control, and a history she couldn't outrun. And that, more than anything, laid bare the power imbalance in their relationship. Not just physical, but psychological. Because when your past is filmed, owned, and ready to be used against you, how do you ever really say no? That flight didn't just change her plans, it shattered the illusion that distance meant safety. Because when someone like Diddy wants control, even 30,000 feet in the air isn't far enough. Cassie told the jury that the threats didn't stop at sex tapes. They bled into every corner of her life, her work, her relationships, even her medical records. At one point, she detailed how her body began to break down under the strain: chronic infections, hospital visits, and a constant state of pain. She described a stretch where she couldn't even sit comfortably without burning sensations. The result of what she says were nonstop freak-offs that lasted for days. And still, she stayed silent. Because when someone owns your image, your schedule, your body, and has the resources to make you disappear, you don't speak, you endure. Even after she tried to block him, Diddy allegedly kept reaching out, sometimes through assistance, sometimes through others close to her. The message was always the same: you're never really gone. But if Diddy thought silence equaled submission, what came next proved he underestimated her. Because Cassie didn't just survive, she started to fight back. Years after walking away, Cassie told the courtroom she still hadn't fully left. She described reliving the trauma in fragments, through flashbacks, panic attacks, and nightmares that didn't care whether it was day or night. She turned to intensive therapy, neurofeedback to rewire her brain's responses, EMDR to reprocess memories that had calcified into chronic fear. But healing, she made clear, wasn't linear. Even after the hospital visits and the lawsuits, even after the headlines and the distance, she said it still felt like pieces of him were lodged inside her nervous system. Then came the question from the prosecution: calm, clinical, but heavy enough to flatten the air in the room. Do you have any doubt that Sean Combs raped you? Cassie didn't blink. She didn't flinch. I have no doubt. There was no emotion in her tone, just finality, like someone who's had to say it to herself 1,000 times just to believe it. And yet, even in that moment of truth, she admitted that she still struggled with guilt, with confusion, with the terrifying possibility that love had been weaponized against her, that even now, with all the therapy, all the distance, part of her still wanted to protect the man who destroyed her. That moment, the silence after her answer, hung in the air like a final verdict. But if the courtroom was already shaken, what came next tilted the entire foundation. Because while Cassie had been battling psychological warfare behind closed doors, the federal agents were quietly stacking physical evidence. And when they raided Diddy's hotel suite at the Park Hyatt, they didn't find a man preparing for trial. They found a setup that raised more questions than anyone was ready to answer. Plastic bags full of baby oil and bottles of Astroglide were stuffed in the closet like hotel toiletries. Drawers weren't just holding clothes, they held cash, neatly packed stacks, $9,000 total, hidden in a black designer backpack. And that wasn't even the worst of it. Tucked away in a prescription bottle, labeled under the fake name, Frank Black, agents uncovered pink powder, not mystery dust. This wasn't the stuff of rumor. It tested positive for ketamine and MDMA, the same substances Cassie claimed were used during freak-offs. And just like that, her words weren't just testimony, they were corroborated, in evidence bags, with labels, and a paper trail. The prosecution didn't need to dramatize it because the evidence did all the talking. As photos of the raid flashed before the jury, the courtroom sat in stunned silence. Baby oil, designer bags, unmarked pill bottles under an alias. The pink powder tested and confirmed. It wasn't just messy, it was methodical, controlled, like someone had built a system around secrecy. And then, just as the weight of that evidence settled in, the door opened. A new witness stepped up, someone who didn't need lab results to back up their claims, because this person said they saw it, felt it, lived it. Former singer and Diddy associate Dawn Richard took the stand, someone who, until now, had been a name in the margins. But what she described next would rip the courtroom wide open. Dawn Richard didn't stumble on the violence. She walked straight into it. She testified about a day in 2009 inside Diddy's Los Angeles home, when breakfast turned into a beating. What started with eggs ended with Cassie on the floor, curled into a ball, trying to shield herself from blows. Dawn said Diddy was screaming about missing food, then grabbed a skillet, yes, a literal skillet, and went after Cassie. She described the sound of glass shattering, Cassie being kicked in the head and dragged across the house like she wasn't even human. And Dawn? She admitted she didn't move because she was terrified. Later, when she tried to check in on Cassie, Cassie warned her not to talk, not to whisper, not to breathe a word. People could go missing. That wasn't drama. That was survival. But what makes Dawn's testimony especially haunting isn't just the violence, it's that it matched everything Cassie had already said. Same behavior, same silence, same fear. And now, with two voices echoing the same horror years apart, the court is no longer dealing with isolated incidents. They're staring down a pattern, and it may be the key to everything. From hidden bruises to burner identities, from skillet attacks over scrambled eggs to threats made mid-flight. This trial isn't just revealing what happened behind closed penthouse doors, it's peeling back the velvet curtain on a culture of silence, fear, and fame-fueled control. What began with Cassie's testimony has now spiraled into something much bigger, a legal earthquake shaking the very foundation of celebrity power. And yet somehow, we're only scratching the surface. If this breakdown of Day 5 hit you like it hit the courtroom, go ahead and drop a like, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Chatter Fuse for more celebrity truths that don't care about status. Because in a world where money can bury evidence and fame can rewrite facts, we're here to dig them back up.